I am woman, hear me roar. I know you want to hold on to the woman I was before, but I'm not her and she isn't me. I'm now standing in the ashes of who I used to be. Loss on the left and heartbreak on the right, but God knew I was his soldier for the fight. Some don't want me to forget the mistakes already done, but God said for my sins, he gave his only son. So your gossip, opinions, and lack of support, I have learned to use that as motivation for improvement and not take it to heart. Don't be selfish to think that for you to go up, you must keep me down. Because my sister, we all deserve to wear a crown. Don't knock my hand when I reach out for you. I know many have done you wrong, and now you only trust a few. I want to see you healed, delivered, and set free. I can't say I love my sister and watch her remain in captivity. You are a woman. Let them hear you roar, because you are not the her you were before. That was Shaped Woman by Everett Maxine. I am Everett Maxine, and I would like to welcome you to another Her Friday episode. Please remember to like, follow, and most importantly, share. It's Her Friday, y'all. Hello, listeners. We have another Her Friday interview. Would you like to share your name and age and where you're from?
Yes. My name is Carolyn Delano. I'm 37 years old and originally from Bay City, Texas, but I currently reside in Paradise Valley, Arizona, with my husband and my three sons, and it's been for the past 13 years now.
Wow, 13 years. So what is Arizona like in comparison to Texas?
Arizona is hot. I think that's the stigma that we have on the state. But yeah, it's definitely hot, much like Texas, but it is a dry heat. And it's funny that I find myself saying that now because honestly, I didn't really understand what dry heat meant until after moving to Arizona and going back to Texas for a visit. And that humidity is the devil. I remember it is the devil. I remember, coming out of the airport and just that thickness in the air just hit me in the face, It's just, so at that moment, I knew exactly what people meant by saying, okay, it's a dry heat because we don't have any of that.
Right.
But, Arizona's landscape is very beautiful. I mean, the mountains, the cactus, the blue skies, the sunsets, it's just breathtaking. I think it provides the most beautiful backdrops, to be honest. But yeah, I have to say though, one of the biggest differences that I noticed almost immediately is that there's no chemical plants around. And you know how it is in what is it, STP, that's out in Palacios area, right. And just Houston, getting from point A to point B, like you're almost bound to drive by a chemical plant. And so we don't have that here. So that's probably the biggest differences. But I guess the likeness is just this weather, the heat.
I have not traveled much, but you're right about the humidity. People talk about it in Texas. I went to Oklahoma in 2017 to do a job, and it was like 20 degrees there and at night, and I loved it. And people are like, you're crazy, but it was a dry kind of cold, not like Texas cold. So I just loved every bit of it. And you're talking about the plants here and none in Arizona. One of the things that I noticed about Oklahoma, I went in the store and like nobody was on their cell phone. And I thought that was just odd that because, here you go in the store, everybody's on the phone. They're walking into each other with baskets. So, I mean, Arizona sounds like I have a list that 50 before 50 of states I want to see. Corona has kind of put a hold on that, but hopefully I'll get to see Arizona soon. So
no, I'd love to have you out here. When you make that happen, definitely let me know. I'd like to show you around.
Absolutely, because now I have you there, and I had a former boss that he was from Arizona. He went back, and so now I got two people to visit in Arizona. Yay!
Yay!
So you're from Bay City. Bay City is a very small town. What was it like for you growing up in Bay City?
Yes, very small town, that's for sure. Growing up in Bay City, it came with its good times and most certainly its challenges. Um, I grew up in a household with 7 siblings, so there was never a dull moment.
Wow.
I felt like, 7 siblings, 8 with me. So there was, I felt like it was always a fight or a competition of some sort, whether it would be fighting for the last biscuit at the dinner table or just competing for our parents' attention, with that many people living in one household, there was just never a lack of entertainment. So it's serious, it's just a lot going on all the time. But on the flip side of that, growing up in a home with multiple siblings and few resources provided its challenges too. I come from a family, we didn't have much. We very much so grew up on government assistance and help from the community. My father, he worked as a yard man, as we would say in Bay City. And my mother, she stayed home, which, really she wouldn't be able to have a profitable income with or offset the child care expenses for 8 kids,
Right.
Like it was just, you can't work. So, we were really poor. So a lot of my childhood memories are filled with coaches and community leaders that help with basic things that a lot of people take for granted, quite frankly. But many people did step up to the plate in various ways. And to this day, I'm just extremely, extremely grateful for that.
Right. I was an only child, but me and my mom stayed with my grandmother for a good portion of my childhood. And I really didn't realize how much we lacked, I guess, until I moved out. We moved out when I was a teenager on our own. And my mom didn't have a car. And so, we'd walk everywhere or whatever. But I really didn't realize the things that I didn't have. But I know that I had a lot more things than other people because my grandmother would buy all the name brand stuff or whatever. But I lacked in some areas, but I never really felt that because I didn't have anybody that I had to share with, So 7 siblings, that has to be wow.
Oh my gosh, yes. And I can very much so resonate with what you just said. We didn't have a car or anything. I remember when we got to go to the grocery store to shop for groceries. We didn't have a car, so all 8 of us, 10 including my mom and dad, we'd walk across town to HEB's, load up on groceries, and we'd carry them all the way back home. But yeah, and like you said too, it was all we knew, so I didn't realize how poor we were until I grew up and seeing wow. So yeah, no, I get it.
So you most definitely have blossomed from your humble beginnings. What are some what were some of your accomplishments in high school?
So yes, my high school years, they were some of the best yet most difficult years for me. People that truly know me know just how humbling those beginnings were. I also dealt with a lot of personal issues at home, so school was my outlet.
Right.
Bay City High School is where I went, and it gave me a platform to which I used to become into my own. I was gifted with natural athletic abilities that it gained me national exposures over my high school years. I think you might know, but I was a multi-sport athlete. I participated in volleyball, basketball, track, and softball on occasion. But, basketball and track that's what I enjoyed most. But yeah, some of my accomplishments, we competed for the state title in 1999, 2000, I believe, were the years. But, that came with all sorts of recognition, like all district first team, all state third team, various of awards on the track and field side as well. And I guess outside of sports, in addition to that, I was the homecoming queen my senior year. Just all of that stuff. Those extracurricular activities represented everything for me, everything. Sports was all I had at the time. And that's kind of what helped me get through some of those trying times at home.
I think for people in the community, especially that come from smaller communities that don't have the same resources as others, extracurricular activities are definitely an outlet. And I see, like, in our hometown, a lot of students have kind of backed away from participating. But I know for me, I didn't really participate. I wasn't good at sports. I tried. I sucked. I would drive poor Coach Smith crazy when it came to volleyball because, like, I didn't like to sweat. But I did find my niche when I got in speech, and the speech coach loved how I spoke, but I was battling with the home life, and but we would go away on the weekends, and we would have the tournaments and stuff, and we'd have the hotel rooms. So it was a relief to be away from home because both of my parents were struggling with their issues, and so it just gave me something to do, something positive to do, where I wasn't sitting at home crying or upset or getting yelled at or whatever chaos was going on at the time.
Right.
So yeah, like, I promote extracurricular activities, and I love that Robert and Chandy are now back at home trying to get the young people back involved so that they can get that outlet and be able to, because sports and things can take you beyond the small town. And I'm not knocking our hometown, but it's necessary for people to see outside of that box.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And like you said earlier with Robert and Chandy, oh my gosh, like, I hope those young kids truly know what they have in those people that's, instilling all sorts of great knowledge into them on and off the court or on and off the field. Like, they have definitely been blessed to have those as leaders for them.
Right. So Carolyn Harris became Carolyn Delano. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes. Yep.
When did you know your husband had your heart? And how many years have you been married?
Okay. So yeah, I first met my husband back in 2003, but I have to say I knew that my husband had my heart in 2004. At the time I lived in Houston and he was living here in Phoenix, but he took a job in Houston to be closer to me. At the time he worked in pharmaceutical sales, and there was a job opportunity in Houston, and he applied and he got it, and ultimately it was to be closer to me. So that, for me was everything. And I think it's important to say as well that, not only did I choose my husband, but my husband chose me, which in my opinion was not easy to do. I came with a lot of baggage, and by baggage, I guess I should say, I just, childhood trauma that I had not dealt with to the capacity that I needed to. Yeah. So, but we've been together for going on 17 years. It's like amazing to say that. Like, you don't hear that. It's crazy. But we've been married for 11 going on 12 years. But yeah, I'm just incredibly blessed to just have him. And he's just one of the most genuine, loving, caring, sincere, just supportive people you'll ever meet, And so outside of my humble beginnings and my desire to just be better, he's played a huge role in the person that I am today and the person that I'm still growing to be. Just his unwavering support and encouragement is just unmatched. I'm proud of. He's just simply amazing, and I'm extremely grateful to have him in my life.
Yeah, I only see the interaction, of course, via Instagram, but gosh, like when he does his little dances and the interaction with the family, like that love, even you can't fake those moments. Like,
no.
It looks so genuine, and y'all have, sons. So for a father to be interacting with his wife and his children is a blessing, because there are a lot of people that are married, but there's no interaction there, or it just, I think it's just so cute, because I can't dance anyway. It's so cute. I love the
a lot of
photos.
people sell that short, while I can dance. Like, he has rhythm too. It's definitely not me teaching him any of it. He has rhythm. So yeah, no, we enjoy our moments like that together though.
Oh, I love the family photos, and that you take your sons to see different environments. Because, like once I said, I never traveled until this age. I'm going to be 40, and I think exposure is so necessary for children.
Mm-hmm.
What has been your favorite place to travel?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for the compliment on the family photos. I absolutely love providing my children the opportunity to travel outside of, creating some of the most beautiful, memorable moments. It grants the opportunity for them to explore and just learn about the different cultures. And with that, my hopes for my boys is that they obtain a deeper level of understanding to others, like as to who they are, where they're from, and just always appreciate people for those very reasons. I think that's important. But my personal favorite so far has probably been Paris. It's just such a beautiful, timeless place. The architecture of Paris, it just seems imperishable. And then I was just saying how the food is it's remarkable. So Paris is just a beautiful city. It's romantic, and I enjoyed every bit of it. So with your list of, I know you want to do the 50 states by 50, make sure you include that country, Europe, and that city, Paris. It's just you have to visit it.
Absolutely. I'm going to have all these list of travel plans to go, because I know another lady she says, you want to see the United States, you got to get out of the United States.
It's funny too, because I do love to visit and see these new cities, but what people don't know about me, I hate flying. I have the worst anxiety when it comes to flying. And my love for travel, I guess on the other side of that, I have a fear of flying, and it's just something that I have to get over in order to be able to do or experience the things that we want to. But it's interesting because nothing happens to where, it's a close call or anything frightening happen for me to feel that fear. But I just do. It's just interesting to me. I don't know if others do, but I do. I have a huge fear of flying.
I like jumping on flights. Well, I've only been on a few, but I like being up in the air. My fear is I don't know if you've been in Austin, Texas, where they have these, the highways, they circle up and they go really high. And I don't like driving on them because I have this fear that they're going to collapse, or parking in parking garages. I have to park one at work, and I just swear it's going to collapse on me. I don't like little stuff like that. But a plane, crazy. I'll jump on that with no problem. So, the climate in America has most definitely changed with the death of George Floyd and the death of Breonna Taylor. And I mean, even before now, people had their opinions about interracial relationships. Have you felt any direct racism going on or any pressure due to your interracial marriage?
My goodness, that's a good question. I personally have not felt any pressure being in an interracial marriage. Because to me, if I felt pressure, then I feel like it would mean that I felt insecure.
Right.
I honestly feel a great sense of pride, because our biracial relationship is a direct result of the hard work and sacrifices that were made by some of the most influential people, like MLK. But given today's climate and, everything he said, and with white privilege being a topic of conversation, I would often wonder, what my husband's feelings were. Obviously he's a white man. So I asked him that very question, or similar question anyway. And while Todd, he could never fully understand what it is to be a Black man, he's been fortunate enough to have been able to straddle the fences between both Black and white America. And I think that that's provided him with a deeper level of understanding of the layers of pain and frustration for our Black brothers and sisters. I think he does an incredible job with truly plugging in and empathizing and wallowing in the pain, all while asking himself how he can be a part of the solution. So while he's not felt any pressure of being in him or myself felt the pressure of being in an interracial marriage, I think, he's felt a stronger need to figure out ways to become an allyship.
Oh, that is so awesome. I think it is absolutely necessary that not only our culture and Black people become more informed, but those around us of other races, I think a lot of us operate in ignorance of what's going on or choose to close a blind eye. I was guilty of that for years because I really believed like racism didn't exist. That's a whole nother podcast. But I really, for the most part, didn't believe it existed. So you do have 3 handsome boys from your marriage. Have you had to have any uncomfortable discussions regarding race that you rather would not have had to have?
Oh my goodness. Yes. And thank you for the compliment. Those boys. Oh my God. There's something else. Handsome, but something else. But yes, I have had to have those racial discussions with my boys. Honestly, it's a given that they'll be subjected to it at some level.
Right.
It's just a question of when. And unfortunately, it was much earlier than what I would have liked with my oldest, Vincent, he's in 10th grade now. But when he was in 1st grade, he had a kid tell him that they did not like the color of his skin. And oh my gosh, you can only imagine the range of emotions that came with that incident.
Right.
Exactly. Like he didn't even understand. To be honest, like he didn't even see at that time, he didn't see black and white and brown. He would call his color of skin peach.
Oh,
I know. And I was like, oh my God, it's just so innocent, right? So imagine having to have that a conversation like that with just an innocent kid. Like, I struggle with the fact, like, do I have this conversation? Is he going to fully grasp it? And all of this stuff. But, so yeah, I did have to. And also an extension of our conversations that revolve around race are different than others as well. With my kids being mixed with half black and white, I have to explain to them that even though they are mixed, they'll always be perceived as being black. It's just what it is, Also, they'll never be fully accepted by either race. And that's just a fact. Like, they'll never be fully accepted by the white side of their, the white people or by the black people. It'll always just be, oh, they're mixed or whatever. So, yeah, it's just what it is. But yeah, I've had to have those conversations. Yep.
Yeah, but they are, I consider it, but that's a blessing because they come from 2 different cultures. Some people, they can't accept that, but I feel like a lot of times people acceptance is because of their jealousy, and ignorance because they're looking at the cover of a book and they don't want to get to read or get to know what's inside that person. Or a mom, a wife, you were a Bay City High School Hall of Famer, and I know you have a lot more other accomplishments. Would you like to share some of those?
Yeah. So yes, I'm a mother and a wife, and being a mother will by far be my greatest accomplishment for sure. But outside of that, I'm the co-founder and director of Give and Go Hoops / Arizona Supreme. That's I guess our new name, but it's a nationally recognized youth basketball program in the Metro Phoenix area. So yeah, with my personal athletic background, my passion of service to others, and just my family's overall love of sports, it fueled my desire to do more within my community. So I've been able to use our program as a vehicle to organize initiatives such as feeding the homeless and hosting basketball camps for at-risk youth programs and just other opportunities. So that I also serve as treasurer on the Arizona Basketball Coaches Association. So that, that's so fun. I'm exposed to all kinds of just fun things. Just being in this industry is it's just really fun. But again, being a mother will always be my greatest accomplishment by far.
Okay. I love that you took what helped you grow and now you're reaching others with that same tool. That's awesome. Exactly. So you mentioned the flying, but what is something else that no one knows or a few people know about Carolyn?
Oh my gosh, it's actually a lot that people don't know about me. I think a lot that I'll say would probably shock so many people. Let me think. I guess in a lot of our conversation, I talked quite a bit about my humble beginnings and how my high school years were a difficult time for me. So I think it's appropriate to say that most people don't know that I actually emancipated my mother at the age of 16, I believe, 16 or 17. I won't go into too much detail there, because that topic is very much still a sensitive subject for me. And, I'm still currently working through the effects that it's had on me. But yeah, a lot of people don't know that about me. It was just, what I will say though, it was an unhealthy situation. And I went, 15, 16 years without speaking to my mother. And as shocking as it may seem, I do still love her. And I try to understand that, she probably just did the best that she was able to do. You just got to chalk it up to that. So, but yeah, that's what I have to say. I'm almost certain a lot of people don't know that about me.
I've been in therapy the past 3 years, something that our culture kind of steers away from, but I wish I would have done it sooner. And so I thank God for that opportunity because it allowed me to see my mother from a different perspective. Now, coming up my entire childhood, I feel like my mother was an undiagnosed alcoholic. And it made experiences rather difficult. Now, in 2003, she was delivered from 2004, she was delivered from that. And so adulthood, we were able to have a real relationship. But I thank you for sharing that because there are a lot of people that go through experiences and they think they're the only one or that their childhood they have to hide. And we need to know that we need to face our issues in order to grow and that you can love even family from a distance. Yes. When it gets unhealthy, you have to be able to acknowledge that, and I mean, we took our times where we didn't speak for a while or whatever, but I had to get to know her a little bit and know a little bit about her and set boundaries. Yes. Because, it was a lot of damage done. And I was fortunate enough that she apologized before she passed on for any thing that I went through in childhood. Everybody doesn't grow to that place. So I thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no, of course. And I like that you said, about the whole counseling. When you, in our community, that's not, I feel like counseling or seeking help for that it's a negative connotation associated with that. People think, oh, you're crazy if you need to go get counseling, and that's part of it. That's the unfortunate part because you don't think until you are older and it has affected you in certain ways. Like you don't think about kind of taking those steps early on. But yeah, no, I agree.
So besides becoming a virtual home teacher like most parents, what's next for Mrs. Delano?
So yes, like I was saying, my days of becoming or being a virtual teacher are fortunately coming to an end. So yeah, my kids will be back in school within the next couple of weeks. We're all very excited about that. So that will free up some time for me to plug into what's next. So next for me is something that I'm extremely excited about. My husband and I are in the process of co-owning a sports marketing firm that helps put on big events for major companies, big names like Nike, the Jordan brand, the Hall of Fame, Red Bull, USA Basketball, just to name a few. But I am so thrilled to dive into that. It'll be new for us, but I'm just ready to to just learn more about it and just, be involved. So yeah, also in addition to that, I've been starting a few conversations regarding starting up my own charitable foundation. I want to be the person that I needed as a kid, and I would just want to make sure that I'm making an impact in certain ways. So I'm not quite sure which route I'll go, but I do have an idea. So with that, you'll have to stay tuned.
Aw, I am so proud of you, and I look forward to the great things you are doing. I want to give my heart out to you and your family, and just say I am so grateful that you accepted this invitation, and thank you for sharing with us, about your family, your travels, your growth since high school. It is absolutely amazing, and keep pushing and doing what you're doing for the next generation.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I mean, I'm honored to be here. So thank you for asking me. And congratulations on everything that you're doing. I mean, I think you're doing a phenomenal job with just living and speaking your truth with full transparency. That's not easy to do, especially, just hearing some of the things that you've been through. So you've done a phenomenal job with it. And I think you've given so many people a platform to feel comfortable enough to share theirs. So you keep doing a phenomenal job, and I'm excited to see what's next to come for you.
Thank you.
Well, listeners, that was Her Friday with Mrs. Carolyn Delano. I am Everett Maxine, and I would like to thank you for listening to The Absence of Her. Please remember to like, follow, and most importantly, share.